Hello everyone. It has been a while, a too long while. I hope you're all doing fine. I said that I would make the next devlog earlier, but here I am, many months later. A good reflection for myself that these things take time and that I underestimated quite some things. The game itself is moving slowly but steadily forward. I catch myself not spending the amount of time on the game as much as I would want to, but regardless, it's a good lesson for me and it also contributes to the experience in this whole progress. And of course, thank you all for being here and sticking with my journey. I might have said it before, but I do appreciate it a lot. Let's get started with some updates. First of all, my channel. I renamed it. You probably already noticed. Great. Then let's continue to what we have been really waiting for, the current game progress. I will not be covering everything that has been done because I want to save some parts for the next devlog. Ah, yes, yes, I know. It's very ironic, right? Anyway, let's go. The state system. So, I talked about this before. My spaghetti chain of code spiraling into the endless voice like of an Uraburu made of noodles. So, after all of that, I successfully converted it into my own state system, which allows me to easily extend and control my character. The massive amount of code lines were a good start, but in the end, it became unmanageable. The changes I made now are existing out of the player having a state, and there can only be one state that the player currently has. This also means that the code being executed is isolated to that state. Simply put, I have a lot of different classes which execute their own logic when the player is switching to that state. It allows me to safely remove or add new states later on. Think about it like a car. You can put it in neutral, drive, or reverse, and you can't do that all at the same time, right? There is a lot of information about the state system already out there. If you're interested, feel free to have a look at it. And keep in mind that this even can be applied to multiple parts of a game. For example, an enemy can have states too. The player, character, and his layers. So, we have been working the character quite a few times by now. There is even a new version being around right now, which will be the final one. I believe we iterated quite a few times to get what I wanted and to get it fit into the vision of my game. I think it is also an important aspect of the game creation to keep evolving and improving until you hit that nice spot you were looking for. And to continue, one of the initial reworks was to separate the layers. This makes us able to easily color each part and also replace some parts. The result? A very customizable character, which we will certainly use in the end for the game. It became a little bit more tricky to animate, probably because I'm not that used to that, but we'll get there eventually. Let's head to the shaders and lighting effects now. In the previous devlog, I also talked about the many ways you can use shading. I've been researching them more closely and implemented a few versions to experiment with. One of them is actually what we talked about just now. The layers of the players are controlled by a shader to simply change the colors. Aside from that, I also implemented a slight swing with the shaders for the inside part of my tavern. Talking about the tavern, you might have also noticed that I played around with some lighting. I gotta say, I had some issues with the layer orders before, because Godot didn't apply it to the whole scene on the character. Instead, I had to change the index order on the specific scene inside the character scene. Yes, I know, this is very confusing, so let's not pay too much attention to it and see how the results came out. I also tried for the inside tavern to give a slight glow coming from the outside. I got very pleased with the results right now. And now let's head over to an interesting part, the creation of the worlds. So yes, I'm actually happy that we got to this point to create the levels, the towns, and more. We finally have set the stage, how the game will be formed, and this also allows us to reorganize the tile sets and everything that comes with it to create the storyline for the game. The storyline will be much bigger than I initially had in mind, that's for sure. And the crazy thing is that lately in life, I can find inspiration from so many things and actually turn them into something for my game. But first things first, we want to start with some basic levels, with towns, and of course bosses to have the stage. The game needs to exist out of a lot of variables to give it a different playing experience each time. Quite a challenge, but the goal I have in mind is very clear. And while we're at it, why not give you this little teaser, which you probably saw before as well. In between the lines, there is also a new pause menu, or at least a functional one. It's still missing some animations and setup, but the idea is to step up in this direction. I'm still playing with the idea to optimize it as much as possible, and I'm thinking to colorize the menu depending on the world you're in. Yes, also with some shaders, of course. So yeah, you'll see these things also evolve through the time. And last but not least, a nice thing to know, using C Sharp to call GDScript. One of the things that I thought is nice with Godot is that you can have different languages next to each other and simply use one language to execute the other. My example here is that I am using the Phantom camera, which is a great camera add-on for Godot. You have a lot of options and a simple way to work with it. Now, this is created with GDScript, while my main language for the game is C Sharp. I wanted to optimize the way I can test and initialize things, so I required to work with the camera as well. I think I've been using it from somewhere in the start. Well, now I've made it happen that I can simply drop my player into any scene and the camera will be initialized properly without the needs of adding other scenes. This saves me quite some time and an easy way to test, but that's not the main part I was talking about. The thing is that I can simply grab the GDScript node and color method on it. I think this is a great to remove certain boundaries if people want to use other assets or anything in that range. I noticed, however, errors are not always clear and it requires a bit of fiddling with it, so make sure to check this one out as well. And now I'm already at the end. I wanted to make sure that you all knew I'm still alive and kicking, working on my game. It does feel like there is still much more I would like to talk about and share with you all, but let's also be realistic and not fill this devlog with everything that happened in all of those months. There was also a big chunk of technical talk, and I probably even missed to mention some other important parts too. Therefore, I will make sure to adjust my devlog next time and take you deeper into what form the game will take in the near future. Oh yeah, and make sure to poke me if the next devlog is taking too long. It might help. Aside from that, I certainly hope to see you soon and have a nice day. Goodbye.